As you can see, we are inside of a pig barn with a couple different farmers. So how this will work is we are going to do some explaining about some of the stuff in here, and then you will get to ask questions about the pigs and the farmers here. So how that will work is I will call on a school to come up to the camera, send one student up there, introduce yourself, and then ask a question and return to your seat. So to kind of talk a little bit about the pigs that we have, there are more than 60,000 pig farmers here in the United States, and they all have one goal, and that's to care for the pigs, the people, and the planet. The community of pigs supports more than 550,000 careers. So you can be a pig farmer, a software developer, a veterinarian, a meat processor, or even a truck driver that transports the pigs. So raise your hand if you could see yourself working in a pig career someday. All right, there we go. A few hands up there. So we're going to explore some of the different things that pig farmers do, and you guys will get to ask questions to learn from them about those different things. So I'm going to let the farmers introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about how they got started here.
My name is Farmer Matt. I've been involved with pigs for a little over 9 years now at several different farms. I got started in the pig business because, quite frankly, I needed a job. That's the basics of it. I actually went to school for meteorology, which is basically being a weatherman. So this is about as far from being a weather guy as you can get.
And my name is Tim, Farmer Tim. I've been with this company for going on 1 year, it'll be this January. But I started raising pigs in 1989, so been raising pigs for a long time.
Awesome. So how did you guys learn to be farmers?
I learned to be a farmer basically by on-the-job training. I had very little. The only hog experience I had was chasing them on my uncle's farm when I was a kid. So when I walked in the door, I had no idea what to expect, and they basically showed me how to do everything.
Same with me, much like you guys. I was actually raised in the city, never even been around a pig before. And then I had a job offer, and I thought I'd try it, and I loved it, and I'm still doing it to this day.
I think it's super cool that you don't even have to grow up on a farm, and you can still be a part of agriculture every single day. As you guys can see, we're standing in this barn, and we're in the barn with a group of boars. So all of the pigs in here are boy pigs, and this barn is called the Insight Performance Center. So all of these pigs are being studied by the farmers who work here, and they're studying things like genetics. So things that make the pigs grow and why they grow. And the reason they do this is because it's a safe and accurate way for us to make sure that we are taking the best care of the pigs that we can. So can you guys tell me how many pigs live in this barn that we're in?
We have about 6,000 at any given time. It rotates as the year goes. We get more pigs every week that come in from babies, and we ship out more pigs each week that go to customers and whatnot. But we have probably a running average of about 6,000 on site at any time.
Okay. So if there are 6,000 pigs that live here, how many pigs are in like a single pen? We average about 15. Right between 14 to 15 pigs per pen. It's kind of hard to see them a little bit, but they're there. I'll get out of the way here in a second to show you some. But you think that's a lot of pigs per pen, but it's really not. They've got plenty of room to grow.
And we have a nursery for the baby pigs, and then what we are in right now is the finisher. This is for the growing and the older pigs. The nursery has 200 heads per room, and the finisher has 400 heads per room.
All right, so lots of pigs live here, and the things that they're studying have to do with their genetics. And the genetics are things like traits that we look for. And so traits come from a breed, and a breed is a group of animals with similar traits. What kind of breeds are here at IPC?
We have 3 breeds of pigs that live here with us. We have Durocs, which are big red ones, and then we have Landrace and Yorkshires, which are big white ones. The white ones make really good mamas, and the red ones are nice, big, strong, almost like athletes, like big star athletes. That's what the red ones are like.
So other than color, are there any other ways you can tell the difference between the breeds?
Sure. Other than color, when you take a look at one like the Durocs and the Landrace will have floppy ears. The Durocs are nice and big, strong, muscular types. The Landrace are kind of long and thin, and the Yorkies have ears that stand upright and are kind of stocky. These are Durocs right down here. These are probably 125 to 150 pound Durocs. Nice deep red color, good muscle. They've got really good muscle on them.
All right. So as we explore some of those different breeds, and you kind of explained how much they weigh, what we're going to do is you're going to take a few questions from students now. So I will call on the name that is your Zoom name on the bottom, and we will do our best to answer the questions. So let's start with
I can hear. It has always been. Hi.
I didn't hear anything.
Hi. What's your question? Hi. Is it hard to raise the baby pigs?
Is it fun to weigh them?
Is it hard to raise them?
Oh, or is it hard to raise them?
Is it hard to raise them?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Sorry, working in a hog barn for so many years, I'm kind of hard of hearing. But no, it's not hard to raise them. What we do every day is we go through and we walk chores. We get everybody up and we walk them around and make sure that they've got food, they've got good clean feed, they've got good clean water, and they've got good air. Because if you walk into a room and it's stuffy and dusty, you're not going to like it. Well, the pigs are the same way. If you're comfortable, the pig is going to be comfortable, and that's usually the best way to do it. We also like to walk around. We can watch them and see how they're walking, because if they're sore, they're going to limp around, and that's another good way to watch them. Good question.
Awesome. Good question, you guys. All right, let's go to Maywood. What questions do you guys have?
How old are they? Okay.
This is Farmer Tim. When we first get the pigs in, they are about 3 weeks old, approximately 21 days. And then they come into the nursery out here, and then we will grow them up to about 6.5 to 7 months old. And then they will be out the door, and we constantly have a new pig coming in every week, and we got the older pigs going out every week.
Good question, you guys. So pig years are very different than human years. Probably more similar to like dog years or something like that. Yeah. Good question. All right, East Butler. What questions do you guys have?
Oh, sorry, we're not listening. We're fixing that problem.
One more time. We couldn't hear you.
Get it? You guys have a okay. Okay, we gotcha. Do we have you?
Now we can hear you.
There we go. I can hear you now too.
Are you coming through?
Yes.
Now we are.
Okay.
Okay. What did you ask us?
Did you have a question for us?
Do you have a question?
How old is your oldest pig?
How old is the oldest pig?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. The oldest pig we have on site right now is probably 8.5 months old. And they don't get very old here, because once they reach what we call maturity, we like to sell them. We like to get them to our customers, and we like to send them on the way. Now, I'm sure Tim will concur this, but in my experience, I've seen animals 2, 3 years old, sometimes older, and they get the sows, mama piggies, they get pretty big. I mean, we had a 3-year-old sow at the last farm I worked at. She was about 600 pounds. She was a big girl.
All right, good question. Let's go to McDonald Elementary. What question do you guys have for us?
The pigs scream there.
One more time. You were breaking up on us.
Do the pigs scream there?
Do the pigs scream there?
What is this grain there?
Did you say grain or scream?
Scream. S-C-R-E-A-M.
Can they make a loud noise?
Yeah.
Scream like.
Okay. Yes, pigs have all kinds of sounds. They grunt, they squeal, and sometimes I don't know if it sounds like a scream.
Good question. Thanks, guys. All right, Chandler View Elementary. What question do you guys have for us?
Oh, she's ready to go.
You're muted. No, unmuted. Go ahead.
How often do you clean the pens?
Oh, very good question. Cleanliness does matter when you're raising animals. We clean these pens. These guys will stay in this pen. They'll come in at about 60 pounds and about 3 months of age. Okay, they'll stay here for about 3 months, and then we'll move them out to another section, and then we'll wash this. So we wash it about every 3 months. But you'd think it gets really nasty in here. It's really not that bad. Pigs like to play in the mud, but for the most part, they're a very, very clean animal. Good question. Very good question.
All right, Bennett. What question do you guys have for us?
Come on, Carter. Come on, Carter. Come up here.
How often do you feed them?
Oh, well, these animals can eat anytime that they want to. We have feeders that we feed automatically, and they come up to the trough and feed how they want to. Now, the trough can only hold so many pigs at a time, so they do have to kind of take turns. But one pig will come in and grab some food, and then he may back out, another pig comes in. So, but they can eat anytime they want to.
Thank you, guys. Class McDonald.
You're on mute.
We can't hear you. Can you? We did not catch your question, North Platte, number 2. If you guys want to send it to us in chat, we can look for it there too. Let's go to High Plains. What question do you guys have at High Plains?
How much do they eat each year? How much do they eat each year?
How much do they eat every year?
Each year. Break it down daily.
Okay. That one, because I'm going to cheat, and the reason I say that is because our pigs never stick around for a full year at this farm, so that would be a total guess. But I can tell you that our pigs, we have a machine back here that weighs how much they eat every day. And so our pigs, when they first come out here at about 3 months of age, will eat between 2 to 3 pounds of feed per day. When they get full size, and when they reach maturity at about 250 pounds, they're more into the 6, 7 pound range, depending on how hard they want to eat. So anywhere between 2 to 3 to 6 to 7, depending on how big they are. Very good question.
North Platte question that they typed through for us was, do you guys name the pigs?
Okay. We do have special candidates, you could say, that we kind of, their personality will stand out and they'll come to the forefront. And we do have names for some of them. Not all of them, but for a couple of them we do. And they become more like a pet than a pig. And we do have them.
The rest of them are all numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so since there's 6,000 pigs here, how do you keep track of all of them? What do you do?
You want this one or you want me to?
Go ahead.
Okay. Every one of the pigs, when they're born at one of our other farms, they get a tag in their ear. That tag has a number on it. You see everybody on show here. Okay.
So it's yellow.
Yep, the yellow thing that's in his ear has a 5-digit number on it. That 5-digit number will be his for as long as he's alive. Okay, no matter where he goes, that'll be his name, you could say. So that's how we keep track of who is who. Okay, and each week we know. I can look up in our computer system. I can look up what farm he came from. I can look up how much he's eating every day, whether he's been feeling good every day. I can even tell you who his mom and dad are. All that's in our computer system, and all of that is because of what number is in his ear. So it's basically like his name, just like your name.
It might be similar to like if you could type like a lunch code number in. At school, it's the same kind of thing. It just keeps track of them their whole life, so that these guys don't have to come up with 6,000 different names in their barn.
Try to remember everybody. Exactly.
Good question. Thank you, guys. All right, let's get back into order here. Let's see. A. Kenning. Do you guys have a question for us?
Yes. How many animals do they have?
How many animals do we have? We have approximately 5,500 probably right now. In the neighborhood of 6,000 heads if it was completely full. But you have to have time to clean and empty out and clean for the next group. So we generally always have at least one room that's empty.
Yeah, so when you said 6,000 head, that's kind of like farmer talk. So just like at school when they say 350 students, these guys say 6,000 head. It's the same kind of way to kind of describe them.
Yep. Little farmer talk for you.
Yeah, throw it in there. All right, Megan Gifford, what question do you guys have?
A hog ring at market?
Oh, that's a good question.
If you are under
Oh, whoops.
Could you say that one more time for us, Ms. Gifford? Or type it in the chat and we'll watch for it there too. All right, let's see. A couple more to go. Hay Springs, what question do you guys have? You know what, I think I saw your guys' questions.
Yep. We typed it in the chat, but the question was, what temperature do you guys keep that barn for the pigs?
Oh, very good question. The temperature, when we're in the nursery ranges in temperature from about 72 to as high as 90. And the reason we keep it at 90 degrees is because when the pigs are laying on the floor, it's probably about 80 degrees on the floor, but it's 90 up here where the sensor is at. But we try to keep it between 75 to 90 because the guys that are coming into the nursery, they're only 3 weeks old, so they're little piggies, and they just came off of mom. So they're still trying to get used to everything. They're still trying to acclimate. So we keep it a little warmer in there for them to be comfortable. When you get out here to the finisher, we start them out about 75, and then we slowly lower it By the time they get full grown or hit maturity at about 260 pounds, we're right at about 62 degrees. Very, very comfortable.
Good question, you guys. Kind of leads to a question from me. Is it 75 degrees even when it's like summertime or wintertime, or does it change?
No, the only time it changes, the only time it will change is if we change it. But what you do is it's kind of called ramping. You start the animal out at a warmer temperature, and as they grow, they prefer a cooler temperature. So after maybe 3 or 4 days, then you drop maybe 1 degree, and then another 3 or 4 days, you maybe drop them another degree, and you just incrementally work your way down. And like Matt said, they're about 62 degrees by the time they're fully grown here.
Okay, so it kind of leads me to another question. Why do you raise the pigs inside?
Truthfully, we want to keep them healthy.
Disease.
Yep, disease is our -- enemy. That's the one thing that scares us to death, and we're constantly fighting against it. By keeping them in a controlled environment, we're kind of a special barn. The only air that actually gets in here comes through a filtration system. It's an air filter, just a lot like the one you have at home, and so the air that's coming in here is clean. We know that for a fact. And then we have exhaust fans on the far wall that are constantly pulling air out. We get fresh air in, it exhausts the air out. But the reason we raise them inside is basically disease. We want to keep them clean.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and take one more question from Thayer Central.
What do you do with the runts?
What do we do with the runs? Well, we do everything we can to prevent a runt. There always is in nature. There's always some animals that are born smaller. But what you do is you try to put them together with other animals that are their same size. You feed them their special feed for a little bit longer. You give them more time to grow. And then any animals, once they go out of here, there is a market for animals that are smaller.
Good question, Thayer Central. All right, so I saw in the chat that we had a few more questions. So from Chandler View, we had a question: how much does a hog bring at market?
Well,
standard pig, $150 probably.
Yeah, give or take. Most standard pigs right now, if you wanted to check what a hog is selling right now, they're probably between $50 to $60 per hundredweight. Okay, so that means most of our animals will ship at about 300 pounds. So we're between $150 to $180. That's for an animal that is headed to market. Now, that's not how we make our money. We make our money because we're a genetics company. We try our best to raise the best hogs we can from a genetic standpoint. Those are the guys, that's how our company makes its money. Because when we get a really good boar that a customer wants, that's where we make our bread and butter.
So a couple different things just to tie on to that. These pigs are like the top pigs of the pig community.
Yep.
Like, so it's kind of like the difference between like getting a dog from the shelter or getting a dog from a breeder.
Correct.
Kind of the difference between them. And then I think something important to talk about is these guys don't get to set the prices for how much market pigs are sold for. So you guys are probably learning about, in social studies, supply and demand a little bit. And so, you know, there's a market where someone else tells us what we're going to sell those animals for. And so every day, even every hour, those prices are always changing. And so depending upon when you go sell that animal is how much you exactly get. So they kind of gave you like the average number of what's going on when we go to sell our animals. That makes any sense at all. All right, let's see, we have some other questions on there. How many pigs do you produce a year?
How many turns in here?
Ooh, that's a very good question. Let's see, 200, I'd say about 10,000.
10,000.
Yeah, the reason I say 10,000 is because we get 200 babies in every week, okay? And so that's about 10,000 animals, and so we then have to find a way for them to leave. You know, because we get 200 more in, we got to find a place for them to go. So it cycles right around 10,000 animals a year.
That ties into our next question. Finding more room for them. How many barns do you have?
At this site?
Yeah.
Barns or rooms? Ooh,
whatever you want to call it.
Well, we actually we have barns and rooms. There's individual rooms per barn. So say like for instance the nursery, we have 8 rooms in the nursery barn, and each room holds 200 baby pigs. But then when you come out to where we are right now, this is the finisher, and we have 8 finisher rooms that hold 400 animals per barn, per room. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Let's see. So one of the questions is related to when we were talking about being involved in the pig community and having a job. How do you get all of the pigs? And where do they come from before that?
Ooh, good question. Good question. We have a sister site that is what we call a farrowing house. When a mama sow has babies, it's called the chief farrows. That's what we call it. Okay. The farrowing house will ship to us. We have 6 of them that feed into our site, and so they will send us about 30 pigs from each farm, which averages out to about 200 each week.
Good answer. That was a good answer. So, what happens to pigs who get a disease, and if they die, how many do you lose a year?
Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to give the percent of death loss per year.
Okay. What happens to a pig when they get a disease? Okay. Let's say that we have a pig that develops a cough or gets a little taste of, say, pneumonia. He's got a bad cough. Okay. We will treat him with antibiotics as best we can. We make sure he's comfortable. We make sure he's got good food, good water, good air. We try our best to take care of him. If, let's say, that he's too far gone and he ends up dying on us, we're bummed out because we don't like that at all. We probably lose, on average, I'd say 4 to 5 animals a week in the finisher, maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 in the nursery, so 9 a week. So over the course of a year, we get 10,000 in, 10,000 out. We lose about 400, 450. I mean, we don't like to. We try our best every day not to do it, but it's what happens.
Can you give them? Can you do preventative things so that they don't get sick?
Yes, we do a couple of things. When we come in here, we do our best to make sure that we're as clean as we possibly can, so that we don't give them any diseases that we might have carried in from the outside. Also, we do run a couple of different preventatives. We vaccinate them just like, like when you go down and get a flu shot. Nobody likes getting a flu shot. Well, the pigs get a flu shot too, because it helps protect them, from getting sick. So we do run different medications as a preventative. We don't run anything to help encourage growth. We don't do that, but we will run as a preventative to keep them from getting a disease.
This is kind of a question for me. So I've heard that pigs are like super similar to us. They get the same kind of diseases. Can we pass things to them, and can they pass to us?
Some strains of flus you definitely can, but for the most part, not so much. But we are very close to pigs very similar as far as our lungs. All of our internal organs are very similar to pigs.
All right, I saw a couple of more questions come through. One of them was, why do they have short tails?
Well, a pig, if he's born with a tail that's longer than the tails that you may see in the barn here, and you've seen the pictures of the little squiggly tail, they'll kind of curl. But the problem with having that in a barn with a lot of animals in, they have a tendency to want to chew that little curl, and then they'll get their tail bleeding. So we have found over the years, pig farmers have done this for decades. When they're baby pigs, you clip their teeth and you clip off their tail, and then doesn't hurt too bad. It doesn't last very long, and it heals up quickly, and then you don't have to worry about them getting chewed on when they get older, which can be really bad. It can actually make a pig go lame if he gets his tail chewed on too bad.
And they call that docking?
Yes, that's called docking the tails, yes. Just like a lot of dogs, you'll see that, bird dogs and stuff usually have a docked tail.
All right, I think the next question we had on there was, how many pigs can you keep in one pen in the barn?
Well, we have approximately 15 head per pen in this barn in here, 14 to 15 pigs per pen. You can't have too many because as they grow, they get larger and the pen gets too tight, and it's not good for them. If you have too few of pigs, then they're not as comfortable. These animals, they like to have friends. They like to kind of touch each other. They like to sleep with each other. So we found that that's just about the right amount for this barn and these rooms.
And then the other question was, how many girl pigs and how many boy pigs are here?
The question is girl pigs and boy pigs. This is only a boar test farm. So when Farmer Matt was telling you about the sows farrowing and then the pigs coming here, we only get the boy pigs. The girl pigs will go to another farm, and then we raise only the boy pigs here, which are called boars.
Yep. So boar and sow are just more farmer words that we have that we use in the pig community. So the next question I saw in there was, can we see more pigs? Yes, we can see more pigs. So what we're going to do is take one more question that came through, and then we're going to go check out the pigs in the pen. So the last question is, do you have an ideal weight for pigs before they leave your barn?
The person that asked about the screaming pig, that's one right there. He's not happy about something and he's letting everybody know it. The ideal weight for us when it comes to whether we're sending to a customer or we're sending to market is right about 250 to 275 pounds. That's what the packers want when it comes to market. As far as our customers, they like it about 275 to 300, only because if you get them much bigger than that, they're too big and can't do their job. Their job is to basically make babies. That's what a board's job is. And if he's much bigger than that, he can't do his job. He's not worth a whole lot to the customer. The customer is spending a lot of money to get a good top-of-the-line board, and he can't do his job. He's out a lot of money.
So kind of recently, as you're talking about pigs growing and the investment you put into them, they're really unique in how they grow. So they go from 4 pounds to 200 pounds in 6 short months. What do you feed them to help them grow like that?
Good question. Very good question. We feed ours. From the moment that a pig is weaned off of this mama, he goes on to a corn and soybean diet. Corn is a very good source of energy, and soybeans are a very good source of protein. We use them in a combination. We'll throw some wheat nibs in there. When the pigs get a little bit older, kind of slow them down a little bit because we want them to grow. We don't want them to grow too fast. So, but it's a really good mix of corn, soybeans. You could almost take this, add some water to it, and mix corn with it. It's that mixed up.
All right, so everyone wanted to see some more pigs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the camera so you can see everything. And Farmer Matt's going to explain the pigs that you're seeing, the difference between the different colored ones out there. And then the other cool facts you know about pigs.
It's pretty fun. I'm glad you could all hang out with us today. This is a lot of fun. If you guys will sneak inside the hog barn. Over there. Okay. These are our Durocs. These guys are about, I'd say, about 5 months of age. And these guys are probably 150 pounds, give or take. Notice how curious they are. They're very, very, a lot of people say they're smart. I'd say they're more intuitive. They're very curious. They're always chewing on stuff or going after stuff, playing. You know, you don't dare leave an accidental water bottle laying around on the floor. They'll have it keep dressing about 5 minutes back. Let me hop in here real quick and I'll give you a comparison on how big they are compared to a normal size human. I'm about 5'9", about 210. See, so most of these guys will come up to about right around the knee. So they're not very tall, but they're very, very solid. All these guys are, you know, he's like a brick. You barely even noticed when I did that. See, that one that I smacked on the back, he's now back over to chewing my boot. Thank you very much. So these guys are these floppy-eared and red ones. These are the Durocs. These are our muscular athletes. Farther over yonder, that one that's over in the corner kind of looking at you with the big upright ears, that's the Yorkshire. And way on the other end, probably hard to see, way on the other end, there's a bunch of Landrakes, and those are the floppy-eared ones. They're white. They make really good mamas. We have a saying here at the farm. Durocs are lazy, the Landrakes crazy, and Yorkies are just plain silly. And that pretty much has them. Once you get that down, then the rest of it is